Brandon Turner, Bigger Pockets, came out and said that rentals don't work today. So I just had to ask the coach, does it work today? What do you think?
I would love to have that conversation with Brandon. The thing that I want to say about that is,
Folks, yesterday on Ryan Pineda's podcast, which you should all check out, I think Ryan Pineda is doing big things. He had the one and only Brandon Turner. Brandon Turner has sold millions of books, Bigger Pockets fame, managing $1 billion portfolio of real estate, probably raised nine figures in limited partner money. Why is this important? Brandon Turner, Bigger Pockets fame, came out and said that rentals don't work today. So I just had to ask the coach about the small and mighty real estate investor. Does it work today? What do you think?
short answer, yes, it still works.
Video done.
I would love to have that conversation with Brandon. You've intrigued me now. I'm going to go watch the conversation. I've known Brandon for a long time. The thing that I want to say about that is there's two separate things going on in every rental deal. When you say a rental doesn't work, there's the property and the cash flow it produces, and then there's the financing that you attach to the property. That's, if people want to get one concept today that makes the entire real estate market make sense, is understanding that concept. You have the real estate and cash flow that it produces. You've got the financing that it's attached to. The financing doesn't work today. That's what I would agree with. And maybe that's what he meant. The rental properties are actually even better today than they were 2 or 3 years ago. So does the small and mighty investor approach work? Yes, it works. It's a new ball game though, because you and I've had some really good conversations about this. The financing has to change in order to access that real estate, which is, yes, it's still great. It's still, I'm buying today. I'm liking buying today. I'm holding today. So yeah, it's still alive and well.
Yeah, the small and mighty investor. I've only can speak to the 22 years that I've been buying rental properties. To your point, it always works, but you have to pivot. You have to change. If you're coming into real estate, and let's just say, for example, you were the best BRRRR executor on the planet. From about 2012 to about 2022, the summer, you made a killing. Even if you were the best of the best, the market bailed you out and you made a killing. You probably have a massive portfolio. You probably have none of your own money in the deal. You're the king of the hill. BRRRR, since the summer of 2022, probably for the next couple of years, it's going to be harder. Now, the best of the best probably can still make it work. But for most people, it's an advanced strategy, and it's one way to lose a lot of money. Today, we have a golden era of creative financing. Creative financing always works. There have just been 2 times in my lifetime that it has been the golden era. The first time, just so everybody's clear, was 1981 to about 1987. This is when Robert G. Allen wrote that book, Nothing Down for the 80s. We are in another golden era. This is why Pace Morby, the creative financing, this is why Coach Carson is killing it, because they know subject to lease option, seller financing, silent seconds, all of these other ways to structure debt, the ability to control a property and make cash flow. So the small and mighty investor always works. There are times it's harder than others. And I would say you always have to change. And if you don't want to change, if you are that BRRRR guy from the last decade, you should probably stop, because you're going to lose a lot of money, because it does get hard. And there are times it's the golden era and times that it's just tough. So that's what I was thinking. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think sticking with BRRRR, because BRRRR is a really good example of how the real estate industry works. You go through these 3 to 7 year cycles where 1 or 2 techniques are like the hot thing. And what we have to do, what you do a good job of, and what I try to do a good job of, is giving you a historical perspective of what does not change in the real estate investing sphere. And what does not change, let's go over like the fundamentals 101. I'm a coach, right? I got to like draw up the play on the board.
Yep.
Number 1, you got to buy in a location that has long-term potential. We are buying the dirt that the house sits on. That's it. Like we want a lot, a piece of dirt that's at a location where people are moving into, where jobs are coming to, where there's a long-term demand for real estate in that location. That's the fundamental of real estate. That's why we buy it. And then we buy these sticks and bricks, these houses or these properties on top of the dirt so that we can receive some cash flow to either just pay our mortgage payment, or we hope make a little bit of cash flow, a little positive cash flow. And that's it. Like you collect money, you collect cash flow, you hold a property until it goes up in value. Like there's nothing has changed about that in a very long time with real estate. In fact, this is a total side story we need to do another episode on. I'm reading the book of Benjamin Franklin, the biography. You can see it in the background there by Walter Isaacson, a fascinating real estate investing, business, early retirement story. Benjamin Franklin, by the way, really? the first guy to do the fire movement 275 years ago, retired at 42 years old. He had a printing business, and where did he put all his money? In the colonial era Philadelphia back in the 1700s, put his money into properties in Philadelphia. So
wow, that's cool.
Long-term perspective, these fundamentals don't change, but the financing, man, it changes repeatedly. And so I always like to say you have to have a toolbox of financing tools. The more, the better. And during certain eras, to your point, certain tools are going to be more advantageous than others. But I would argue, and this has been my experience because I've been investing for 21 years, creative financing is the tool that sort of smooths out these ups and downs. Because in 2008, 9, and 10, I was still buying properties when everybody else who I knew was out of the market, because I started in 2003. Right. And I was still buying in 2008, 9, and 10 because I had private money, seller financing, access to funds that weren't dependent on a bank, and banks weren't lending for 2 or 3 years.
No, they were not lending.
They had their hands in their pockets saying, no, you're an investor, get away from me.
Pencils down. Yeah. Pencils down.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the moral of the story is understand the fundamentals of real estate historically, and then become an amazing expert master in financing. And if you can do that, you'll always be buying.
The Small and Mighty Investor is an amazing book. It for me, it creates belief that even the small guy, the single operator, could put together a real business, a real process to change their financial future and potentially change generations. And it annoys me when influencers who really came up through the Small and Mighty Investor. Brandon Turner started by buying a fourplex in Washington somewhere, I think. And to see him, who now is a guy that raises 9 figures, to kind of come out and poo-poo where he started and forget about the little guy, it's disappointing. It's disappointing. And that's why I like what you do every day, for years now. And what I try to emulate is I don't forget where we came from. I think it is far more beneficial to help somebody get to 4 rental properties than it is to invest 400 grand from some wealthy family, right? I don't need to make wealthy people wealthier. I'm trying to help the little guy get their first, their second, get to 4. That's what motivates me every day.
Yeah, that's where we connect 100%. My belief and my heart is with the people buying those 1 to 4 units and getting those done. And I would invite Brandon. I don't know that Brandon's going to watch our show, but Brandon, I know he started there too, and I'm willing to bet that would be an interesting conversation. So Brandon, hey, have a 3-way conversation with us here with me and Michael. You can come on my podcast as well. Let's go dig a little deeper, because
folks, let's get Brandon Turner on the One Rental at a Time show. How fun would that be?
I'd have a good time. Brandon and I go way back.
Yeah, so maybe you have to initiate that, because I've reached out to Brandon in the past and he ignores me, even though we communicated many times when he was at Bigger Pockets. But maybe you can make it happen.
Maybe we could do it. We'll see.
There you go. Well, where can people find you? And more importantly, where can they buy your book? Because they really need to. That's what I think people need today. When they hear people like Brandon, who are internet famous, say things like rentals don't work, dude, that's like the boogeyman scaring people. We need to come out and shine a bright light and say, yeah, it's hard. Hint, hint, it's always hard, but it's possible. Dude, we got to get belief. I really, really, really hate it when really rich people talk their book and scare the little, because the little guy doesn't need to be scared more. They are already scared enough. And to hear Brandon on Ryan Pineda's show say rentals don't work, it hurt my soul. But where can they buy your book?
It's a Small and Mighty Real Estate Investor. It's on Amazon. It's on Bigger Pockets. And this is one in the same. This is a cousin, a partner book with One Rental at a Time. We have the same mission, and really appreciate you having me on, Michael, and talking real estate.
Thank you, buddy.